Well, hello to you and welcome to this webinar where, well, we all know Intertraffic is the world's leading platform for mobility solutions and knowledge sharing, helping deliver smart, safe and sustainable mobility for all. And ahead of Intertraffic 2024 in Amsterdam next April, Intertraffic webinars are back. And welcome to this one, which is called Today's Climate Neutral Cities, Let's Go Green with ITS. Now, we've got three guests on today's webinar and I'll introduce them in a moment, but beforehand let me just let you know that this webinar features a chance for you to ask questions or make a comment by going to the Q&A section on Zoom, and we'll come to as many questions as we can later in this session. You'll see the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. But let's now meet our guests for today. Itir Coskun is Regional Innovation Manager at SWARCO and is the project leader of SWARCO's Go Green initiative. Giacomo Tuffanelli is a traffic engineer in Roma, Mobilita in Italy, and Mika Kulmala is project manager in the city of Tampere in Finland. So we'll hear from Giacomo and Mika shortly, but first let's find out about a proactive approach towards climate neutrality by 2020 with Itir Coskun from SWARCO. So Itir, the floor is now yours. Tell us all about Go Green.
Yeah, thank you very much, Paul. I will share my screen. Hope it's going to work now with no problem. Can you see my screen now?
Yep, perfectly. Thank you.
Perfect. All right, yes. Thank you very much for the introduction. As many of you know, that SWARCO is a well-established company and an industry leader in ITS, but today I will be not talking about our portfolio. I will be talking about our Go Green initiative. This is a group initiative basically that we are running, focusing on contributing proactively achieving environmental objectives. So just to give you a bit of the motivation behind the initiative. So when we talk about climate change, it is an issue basically that is concerning us all. We are facing the consequences of it today, some of us facing it more harshly than the others. And looking at the share of transport, it basically accounts for a quarter of the total emissions globally, and road transport within this quarter, within the 25% of the emissions, road transport is responsible up to 80% of the total emissions. So another important fact here is that different than other sectors, emissions from transportation are not showing any significant decrease. So we as SWARCO, we have decided basically to look at how we are doing things and how we can basically improve and support cities in achieving these environmental goals and combating climate change. So this is basically the motivation behind our Go Green initiative. And to do that, we started with identifying key challenges. So based on an extensive survey that we have done with over 400 stakeholders, we have identified 10 key challenges. And from the 10, we have picked the top 4. So we're talking about urban traffic congestion, scarcity of parking spaces, air pollution, and VRU safety. So the discussions that we are having around the Go Green initiative is basically based around these 4 pain points. That doesn't mean that this is limited to those, but this is more of a starting point. Now, keeping these facts and challenges in mind, in the meantime, we're also aware of the strategies and the objectives set by the European Commission. So we have structured our Go Green initiative aligning with these objectives and strategies. Looking at the timeline now that the EU basically wants to become, so we pledged to become the first climate neutral continent in the world by 2050. This is a challenging long-term objective, and to achieve that by 2050, again, 112 cities have chosen with a certain set environmental objectives for these objectives to be achieved by already 2030. These cities will also act as an example, as a blueprint for the rest, basically. So this is where we have defined our starting point with the GoGreen initiative. We are not limited basically with these 112 cities, but we started addressing them, knowing that they have these ambitious objectives that they need to achieve. So knowing this timeline, as mentioned, that we as SWARCO, we asked ourselves, how can we play our role? How can we contribute and accelerate to this? And now we talked about the 4 pain points in the beginning that are some of the most commonly faced challenges, basically by different cities, different countries. However, we also know that often, even though these pain points are the same in different cities, different countries, the specific reasons behind those are not usually the same. So, for example, when we talk about an urban traffic congestion, let's say in Oslo, and we talk about looking at in Athens, when we really analyze it down, we have to understand why these cities are facing these challenges, because each city is unique. They have unique components that are contributing to these challenges, and we have to understand that. So we really have to get closer to the challenge. We have to start with understanding, with engaging with the cities to basically understand what exactly are the problems, and then we can understand how to support them in the most efficient way. The idea here is that we cannot simply copy and paste a same solution and just expect the same results. So we, as I said, we first want to start with understanding, and only with understanding we can then know exactly how to support. So how are we doing this? How are we engaging, basically? Looking at the structure and the scope of the GoGreen initiative, we have started our journey during the ITS Congress in Lisbon. We kicked it off there. And up to today, we have done around 100 engagements with different stakeholders all around Europe and also outside. And not just with municipalities, we have been engaging with citizens, with academia, with other industry partners as well. And until Intertraffic, we basically have several more engagements planned in the upcoming months. And we aim to do as many as we can until Intertraffic. How are we doing that? How are we doing the engagements? So it is basically consisting of 2 main parts. We have the VR experience, that this virtual reality tool we use as a conversation starter. So we have developed it based on the 4 pain points that I initially talked about. It is simply a gamey tool, and it shows how ITS can help overcome these challenges. So it takes around per person, let's say, just to give an idea, 15 to 20 minutes if you go all the steps. And it is a very interactive way, an easy way to understand how ITS operates. And then after the VR part, we have the second part, which is a key part, in my opinion, that is the interview part. So how it has been done often today is that you go and you tell how to basically just solve a solution. But here with the GoGreen, we want to change this a little bit. We want to start more learning from each other, because with asking questions about main objectives, priorities, and challenges, because especially when it comes to topics like combating climate change, we have to simply sit together, discuss, bring the expertise together, and simply just learn from each other. My last slide, as I'm coming at the end of my time today, for this part in the beginning. So with GoGreen, basically our overarching goal here is to play an active role, a proactive role in contributing to the European Union's objectives, starting with better understanding what needs to be done on our part. We want to get closer to the site, as I mentioned. We engage with cities, regions, learn from them, share our expertise, and also raise and spread awareness. That would be all. Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to your questions.
Well, thank you very much for that inspiring explanation there. Now, I've just got one question for you for the moment. A reminder that we have the Q&A at the bottom of the screen, so do put your questions in and we'll come to them at the end of the presentations from all our guests on today's webinar. But Itir, I just want to ask, why a private company like SWARCO, that we know for everything from VMS to road markings to software, why is the GoGreen initiative so important for SWARCO, and how important is the role of cities in the initiative?
Yes, so starting with the first part, as you said, we have an extensive portfolio. We are an industry leader in ITS. We're supplying road infrastructure all over the world that simply shapes the way we move in our cities. And having this huge role, not acknowledging the pressing issues such as climate change, that, as I said in the beginning, that is simply affecting all of us, and not taking action is not an option for us, let's say. So we simply just want a future, and we think that that is a crucial thing, that we can live in with a certain quality of life, and not just for us, and also for the future. Now, the second part, what is the most important, but how is the role of the cities, let's say, is, well, as I mentioned, we're looking at cities with GoGreen. It is not limited to cities, though we are engaging with the other authorities as well, but cities do play a huge role when looking at emissions. Urban areas are significant contributors to greenhouse gas emissions due to high energy consumption, industrial activities, concentrated human activities. So in summary, let's say cities and urban areas, we can say, are focal points for addressing climate change, and we can foster sustainable mobility. The policies, infrastructures, and planning efforts by cities have basically a significant impact on the carbon footprint of communities. So we can contribute significantly to global efforts to simply combat climate change.
And are you finding that cities are cooperating when you go to them and say, look, we want to interview you? Are they keen to take part?
Yes, of course. And an interesting part, what we have experienced up to now, I would say, is that we are engaging from, when we talk to the cities, we're engaging different people with different backgrounds. So we are gaining very different perspectives, from more technical to less technical, looking more on the policy side, but also the engineering side. So yes, we have been getting really, really interesting insights, I would say, and shown a lot of interest.
Fantastic. Thank you very much indeed, Itir. We'll come to you in the Q&A later on in this session. But next, we're going to find out what the cities are up to themselves in different parts of the continent. In a moment, we'll go north to Oslo, or north of Oslo, to Tampere in Finland. But first to the Italian capital of Rome, and traffic engineer there, Giacomo Tuffanelli. So, Giacomo, thank you for joining us. And for the next few minutes, the floor will be yours. Itir, if you could unshare your screen for us, please, then we can let Giacomo share his. And Giacomo, over to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Can you see the presentation?
Perfectly, yes, thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Paul. I am Giacomo Tuffanelli. I'm responsible for the ITS systems design and development unit in the Rome Mobility Agency. I will be looking at the Green Deal objectives and the GoGreen initiative through my point of view, that is the one basically of traffic congestion. As pointed out already by Itir, ITS systems will play a relevant role in achieving EU Green Deal objectives. And they have always been sustainability among the objective of the ITS systems development. In Rome, we are developing the ITS systems on a main road network. We have, from several years, 10, 15 years ago, identified the main road network that is a part of 400 kilometers of the overall 8,000 kilometers of road network in Rome, where 60% of peak hours traffic flows. So it is necessary that this part of the network needs to have the highest level of service, the highest capacity, highest safety, and needs. So there's the need to have the ITS systems that manage, monitor, and control this part of the network. To do this, also we developed the ITS systems on field, but also we went through a process where upgrading and renovating our mobility control center. Because we had all these systems on field, and in the mobility centers, there were standalone systems. We, with this upgrading and renovation of the mobility control center, we brought everything under one platform. So to have the backbone of this platform with the data lake, with all the data coming from the different systems all together, that could be analyzed and studied to understand the whole mobility process. One important part for what concerns urban traffic is the digital twin. That is a tool we have integrated in the mobility control center that is acting like a decision support system, and is basically a model that is fed by real traffic data, and through simulation can analyze different strategies and policies that can be put in place based on what is happening on the network and on the predictive capacity of the models. Obviously, in this context, it is important to have traffic monitoring and traffic data. So one of the things we are doing now, you can see it on the left side of the slide, is we have finished implementing on 220 locations around 800 radars to increase the monitoring capacity of our system and of our mobility center, so that we can have different data on traffic flows and on different parameters that tells us the condition of traffic throughout the network, but can also monitor pedestrians and flows and cycling flows, so to understand also the other aspects of the mobility and not just traffic. These radars are integrated with the controllers, and here, for example, comes in place SWARCO. We have 500 UTC traffic lights managed by SWARCO systems. The radars are integrated with the controller and can put in place some strategies locally through the controller, or can send the data to the mobility center to have more wide area strategies studied by the systems in the mobility control. But as Itir was saying, tackling the Green Deal objectives is not only a matter of traffic, but is also a matter has other aspects. I wanted to point out here in the slide other aspects where we are involved with the systems, and one is the public transport priority. We have a system that is interacting with the traffic lights to reduce public transport travel time, so that hopefully brings people moving from private cars to public transport. And then in Rome, we are in the process of implementing a limit traffic zone that we call Green Belt, that will control the emission classes of the vehicles. And it's around 160 gates all over, and it's a very wide area belt. And in this belt, only the high class emission vehicles will be able to access. What will be the future of the systems? As far as I can see, the future will be the one of the cooperative systems, the cooperative ITS systems. We are already experimenting some of them in the city of Rome. but the future will be the one where the connectivity between the infrastructure and the mobility control center is direct with the vehicles and in real time with the vehicles. So to have two sides of the communication, data coming from field to the center, but also the center being able to interact in a very quick way with the vehicles, suggesting alternative routes, traffic congestions, and other strategies to make mobility as a whole a sustainable process. Thank you. I have very briefly show what we are doing in Rome, and I look forward to your questions.
Thank you very much indeed, Giacomo. That was fascinating stuff from a challenge of a city the size of Rome to do what you've done. What's the biggest challenge for Rome in enhancing sustainable mobility?
Well, the biggest challenge, as you may know, is Rome has the highest car ownership in Europe. So we have nearly 1 car per inhabitant. And so the biggest challenge in Rome is really trying to get people out of their cars and trying to promote different ways, different modes of moving around the city. And there's a lot of work also on the cycling side. We are building many cycle lanes and trying to promote this way of moving. But on the other hand, there is also many investments on the public transport side. As you know, in Rome, it's quite difficult to build undergrounds and other high capacity systems, but in the last years, we are focusing attention on tramways and other systems that will enhance the backbone of the public transport.
Fascinating stuff. I've got more questions on that to come, Giacomo, but for now, thank you very much. If you could stop sharing your screen then, please, so we can move to our final guest. Let's go somewhere more northerly, and I'm going to wager at this time of year a little bit colder. Let's go to the Finnish city of Tampere and join Mika Kulmala, who is project manager in the city. Mika, thank you for joining us on the webinar. I will now hand over to you for the next few minutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Can you see my presentation?
Not yet, no.
Okay. Try it again.
Here we go.
Yes.
Yep, and then if you put it full screen mode will be great. That's perfect. Thank you very much, Mika.
Yeah. Thank you. So my name is Mika Kulmala, project manager for City of Tampere, working with traffic lights, traffic management, and smart mobility. Also the chairman of ITS Factory and member of board in ITS Finland. So over 20 years with ITS and traffic lights. And yes, we are 180 kilometers from north from Helsinki, and now only -10 degrees, so quite warm today. Vulnerable road user related to traffic lights and ITS, and I think that in every city in Europe they have some kind of climate challenges and also goals. In Tampere, we have aimed that we have to be climate neutral by 2030, and traffic and transport is one of the key points, but also quite challenging. We have to make hard decisions in national level and also in local level. But I think that how our transport traffic network works, it's also the one tool, and I think that traffic lights and operations are one of the key points when we're trying to achieve our CO2 emissions goals. And there are 2 points. One is that before you leave, the choice of mode of transport, sustainable mode of transport, it have to be very competitiveness and sustainable compared to private car, and after you have made your choice, then our traffic network have to work as good as possible. How can we promote our sustainable modes of transport? In Tampere, we have opened our tram system 2 years ago. We have now 2 lines, and that's the backbone of our public transport system, and we have a number of passengers, and that's a very good way to start to go to reach our climate neutral goals. In traffic light point of view, we have used adaptive systems in Tampere since 2017. The first case was we opened our city tunnel, 2.4 kilometers tunnel under our city centrum, and we didn't know what happened after we opened that tunnel, and we changed our traffic light operations to we used the inflow system, which is an adaptive system. It's based on pre-configured control policies. There are some kind of rules and algorithms and priorities and so on. And that's the way that there's every time, every hour, we calculate what is the best way to operate our traffic light network in our city and our streets. So we think that this is the best way to how can we manage the situation that we didn't know what happened, and if there's a closer situations in our city tunnel, we didn't know even what happened. So that was the way that I think that in future we have this kind of systems that we have lots of traffic data, and we calculate in cloud some kind of what is the best way to operate our traffic lights, and then the controllers are quite stupid, and then we have made the decisions and some kind of points that today we want to prioritize public transport more and so on. So that's the way in the future, I think, and that's the way we now operate our traffic lights in city centrum and in intersections we have tram. And of course, this is the way how can we operate our traffic light system towards emission targets. So our traffic light system has to be good for public transport, but also functioning good for if mean travel chains, and if you go to tram or to bus, it have to be functioning very good, and for example pedestrian waiting times and so on, they are very important things. And now we have Elmo Lampen making his master's of thesis work, and the title is Sustainable Traffic Management Principles to Adaptive Traffic Signal Control at Tampere. So we try to find the way how we can use these kind of systems that we can operate traffic light system, and how can we reach our goals in climate goals. Few words about priorities. We have a different kind of priorities. Emergency vehicles at the first. We have a system that if there's lights on in emergency vehicle, it never stops in traffic lights. We have tram, and that in inflow there's a very high priorities in our tram system. So the goal is that tram never stops in traffic lights, but it's impossible. That I think we are quite good situation now. The average speed is quite high, and it's very fluent system. We have priorities for buses if they are behind of planned schedule. Our goal is that it's a punctual system, that there is buses in the stops when it's planned. And then we have cross cycle up. We have priorities for cyclists when they have this kind of app on, and there's extended green in our main bike highways, and we're also collecting data. Couple of examples, traffic lights and ITS and vulnerable road user safety. We have a tram, big infrastructure project tram, but also city tunnel, as I mentioned, and brand new arena in the city centrum, ice hockey and concerts and so on. And we used traffic lights and ITS. We have, for example, in Nokia area, when there is a big concert or more than 8,000 in hall in the arena, then we have to close the streets in city centrum, and we use it when the pedestrian, the people come to arena. Then there's a change. We have changed our traffic lights programming. There's priorities for pedestrians, and after the concert and games, we have to close the streets, and we use it different kind of ITS systems and traffic management systems. There is a variable message signs and variable signs and signposts and polars and so on. That's the very complicated system in our conditions, but this is the way how we can improve our pedestrians' safety and so on. And also we have a variable guidance system when we have closer situations in our city tunnel. Then we have a variable guidance systems that it's not the routes are not the places that we have tram or buses or emergency vehicles or pedestrians, and there is a priorities for traffic lights in these roads, and we hope that people use these safety roads while we have the problems in tunnel. And a few other things, vulnerable road user safety. We have now used this kind of safety lights in traffic lights crossings when there is a pedestrian crossing over rails, and I think nowadays people watching their phones, and so that's the one quite good and quite good thing improving safety. And we also collecting number of traffic data, for example, collecting data for traffic lights, that if there's loops in stop line, we have programmed it that we calculate how many drivers drive against red lights and so on. We can check the programming or send the message to police that there's a problems in these kind of these intersections and so on. And of course, I think that CITS, as we already mentioned from Rome, CITS is one very important thing in the future. Also safety point of view, but also fluent point of view. We have piloting also closer systems and now geofencing systems. So I think these are very good ways to improve safety. Thank you.
Fabulous stuff, Mika. Thank you very much indeed for that. Now, I've been to Helsinki in the summer for the ITS European Congress, 10 years ago or so. And I've been actually up into Lapland in the depths of winter when my children were much younger, and we went to visit Santa Claus. And being a transport geek, I was really, really impressed with how the roads were open and stuff just moved around despite the freezing temperatures, you know, the very extreme weather and the and the snow that was cleared really quickly. I can see that you've got that sort of clearance down to a T for road transport. I'm just fascinated about what the reaction of travellers is in the winter to sustainable mobility, active travel, swapping between public transport modes when it is the depths of winter for you.
I think that before the main thing was that where we have buses, it was the first level. For example, we made a winter maintenance. But now we are concentrating that we have to clean the bicycle roads right after we have the clean our main public transport roads. So we have different kinds of levels at what kind of maintenance and what is how many minutes you have time to clean the roads. And I think that we have now year after year more pressure and more resources to clean also the pedestrian and bicycle roads. So we have this kind of, as I mentioned, main bicycle roads, and I think it's very important that it's easy to go by bike also in winter. It's only you have to put more and warm clothes, and then I think in Oulu it's a very high level. They use bicycle also in winter, and I think in Tampere it's also increased the volumes of cyclists in wintertime also. That I think it's good service and good maintenance, and it's easy to use, I think.
Okay, fantastic. If you could stop sharing your screen, please. But your comment there has just reminded me of the comment that there's never the wrong weather for cycling. There's only ever the wrong clothing. So there you go. So yes, if we can now welcome back Mika, Giacomo and Itir to join us for Q&A. Remember, you can put your questions in on Zoom at the bottom of the screen. But while questions start coming in, I've been scribbling my thoughts and questions all the way through myself. So I mean, a question for Mika and for Giacomo. Could you explain to me your reaction to the GoGreen initiative and why it was important for you to join? And Mika, if you could put your camera back on, please. So Giacomo, if we come to you first.
Yes, well, it's important for us because we have a strict collaboration with SWARCO that implements our systems, and that helps us to reduce traffic congestion and helps us to reduce thus air pollution. And so finding that we have the same objective is really important, so we understand how to develop our systems, which is the best way to get the most out of the funds we've got to implement new systems, and try to integrate what we've got with the new systems we're putting in place, and try to work together to reach these goals to reduce traffic congestions. And obviously, the more you are let's say collaborating, integrated with the systems providers, the better, less time it takes and less effort. I mean, it's more easy to get the systems working on field and see some results.
It was interesting. You said in your presentation that you had all the data from all the different systems. How difficult was it to actually integrate data from many different systems?
Well, it's been a quite long work, a quite long job, especially to get all the data in the right place, all the data, let's say, speaking the same language, and to get the analytics on this data to have some insight on the mobility process. The very difficult part is the analytics part, because we have many data, but we have to understand how to ask things to data to get the information we need, and especially to understand where the mobility process is taking us. I mean, if the strategies and the policies we are putting in place are going in the right direction, if we are moving people from the street, from the private mobility to cycling, or if we are having some other side effects that we maybe cannot see directly. So yeah, it's quite a difficult task, and it's a continuous task, because it must be this analytics and this data must be checked and continuously updated to get the right information we need.
And Mika, what I asked there for Giacomo was, how important cities are finding joining the initiative. What was your motivation?
We need all means and all tools to reach our goals. So I think that using digitalization and data and so on, that's the way we can take the long-hanging fruits, but also in long term that what we have to do and what are the effects to reach our goals. So we have also different kind of systems and collaboration between systems, to collaboration between authorities and companies. And I think that's a very good example that we have to collaborate in many levels and many different things: data, systems, and also authorities and companies.
Okay, Itir, I didn't write down exactly how many cities. Was it 118 cities you're dealing with in Europe, somewhere around there? Do you need more, and can others join up before Intertraffic, or is it something that you're kind of limited to the ones you're already talking to?
No, we're not. So as I said in the beginning as well, that we need to sit together and share our expertise and learn from each other. So we are engaging with cities, not just with the 118 that are defined by the European Commission, but we are engaging with many more, not just in Europe as well, outside of Europe, in the US and also South America, for example. But we are always looking for new stakeholders, let's say, cities, to learn from them, to understand, because every city is unique. And as they have also shown in Roma and also Tampere in their presentations, that there are many different components that have influences on the transportation status of a city. So we are looking forward to learn and understand what are these specific components and why these cities are facing these challenges. So we are definitely not limited to the ones that we have engaged so far.
Okay. Now, my experience of Intertraffic in Amsterdam is that, this vast event, if you want to meet somebody, you meet them at the SWARCO stand, because everyone knows where the SWARCO stand is. There's always great coffee and there's plenty to see while you're waiting. What can we look forward to when you talk about sort of presenting results and things you've learnt about in this project? What can we actually look forward to when we all meet up in Amsterdam in April?
Yes, so as you said, I must say this Intertraffic, it will just even get better. We will have a stand with over 350 square meters. So we're gonna again have a huge stand there, exhibiting our urban, interurban portfolio, parking solutions, and also public transportation solutions. And on top of this, one of the key elements of our stand this time will also be the GoGreen initiative and also the VR experience. So and anyone who's interested can basically participate. And as we have done until now, and we're doing now, and we will be guiding them through the experience there at Intertraffic, and already looking forward to have fruitful discussions to share experiences on basically how ITS can help empower us towards the environmental objectives. So alongside, as usual, we will also be present there as we always do, with our experts to answer any questions and provide information on the latest ITS technologies. I will be there too, so I'm quite looking forward to seeing you all there.
Okay, and we very, very much look forward to it. And I've done the interactive session, had the VR headset on, and was actually recording a podcast at the time. So a colleague was holding the microphone, and while I'm moving my hands around. I very nearly punched them in the face, but only
It
by
won't happen.
So there you go. But no, it is a fantastic experience and something really well worth doing. Can you believe we're out of time? I've got a host of questions to ask, but we can save those for when we meet up and talk in Amsterdam. If you've got any more questions and you've been watching, you can go to LinkedIn, find the three of our speakers, connect with them, and I'm sure you can ask more questions through LinkedIn, and we will see all our participants when we get to Intertraffic in Amsterdam in April. So that's it for today's webinar. All that's left for me to say is to thank Itir, Giacomo and Mika for their insights and expertise. We've learned how the private and public sector can work together to make our cities more sustainable. The conversation will, as I say, continue at Intertraffic Amsterdam. Mark it in your diary for next year now. The must-attend event from the 16th to 19th of April 2024. And we'll hear much more from SWARCO on their GoGreen initiative. So we look forward to seeing all that then. For now, thank you for joining this webinar. We'll have more in the new year as we count down to Intertraffic 2024 in Amsterdam. For now, thanks very much for watching.